global stage.
Also tonight, the FDA has just approved a groundbreaking treatment, a cure for sickle cell disease that uses gene editing technology, offering new hope to those suffering from debilitating blood disorder. Here's Rahima Alice.
The medical breakthrough focuses attention on a long-overlooked genetic disorder affecting mostly African Americans suffering from an excruciatingly painful disease, sickle cell. The treatment, called Casgevy, is the first FDA-approved medical use of the gene editing tool CRISPR, and the beginning of a new era in medicine using this technology. It modifies the DNA in a patient's own stem cells so they no longer produce sickle cells, which can cause health complications and can lead to an early death. Doctors call it transformative for nearly 100,000 people affected.
I think it really will change the landscape of science for sickle cell disease. I think it's going to open a lot of doors for a lot of patients.
It's already changed Lorraine Morning's life. The 29-year-old first-year law student at American University's Washington College of Law was one of 46 patients involved in the clinical trial. Diagnosed at birth with sickle cell, doctors told her mother she might not live beyond 11. For most of her life, she says, she suffered severe pain.
It's consistent, it's sharp, and it's crippling.
And that could be where, for example, on your body?
I've had it in my knees, my arm, anywhere there's a joint.
Now Lorraine runs and works out in the gym, things she always wanted to do but never could do before. It's changed your life.
It's changed, yeah.
You said it's given you life.
It's given me life, yeah.
Experts argue the cost puts it out of reach for many families. The price tag is $2.2 million, but it's likely insurance will cover at least some of it.
And Rahima, cure, what a powerful word we're talking about. Is this a one-time treatment or a series of treatments?
Lester, technically it is a one-time procedure, but the entire process is arduous, lasting several months. And the young woman in our story said it was also painful. But when asked if she'd recommend this treatment to others suffering from sickle cell, she quickly said absolutely yes. Before the treatment, she was consumed with pain. Now her thoughts are all focused on her future, Lester.
Terrific. All right. Rahima, thanks.
Joined today by our 9 Health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli. We want to talk about the treatments, of course, but first we need to understand more about sickle cell. And this does disproportionately affect people of color more than anybody else.
It absolutely does. So sickle cell is an inherited disease, and it basically means the gene for hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein in our red blood cells that carries oxygen. Makes it so that your hemoglobin's shape is wrong. So the cells, instead of being round and sort of flexible where they can go through the blood vessels without a problem, they become sickled like a sickle, get caught in blood vessels, causing pain crises, get caught in our spleen, causing increased risk of infection. There's no cure and there's no real treatment for it.
Before we go to these new improvements and these approvals, I'm just curious, why does this affect the Black community more so? I feel like I always Google that and I never get a straight answer from the Google machine. So can you help me out here?
Yes, in fact, the way that it evolved was that it was a protective mechanism. So we know that malaria is endemic in Africa, and having sickle cells can protect your cells from malaria because malaria can affect our red blood cells. So it evolved as a way, the sickle cell trait was one of the 2 bad copies, evolved as a way to sort of protect us from malaria. But then it kind of went awry, and especially in the United States where we don't have a lot of malaria, it's just causing trouble. So that's why we see it more in Black Americans and Hispanic Americans rather than Caucasians or East Asians.
Okay. So let's talk about this treatment, and this is considered a milestone. There's some really cool technology behind this.
Very cool technology, and it really is a milestone because now we're talking about a cure for an illness which we had nothing for, and we're talking about opening the door for other types of illnesses, genetic and non-genetic, to be treated with genetic modification. So basically what this does, if it was a sci-fi movie like Gattaca, they would make this movie, right? It edits your genes. So it takes a patient that has sickle cell anemia, takes out their stem cells. Now remember, stem cells can turn into any type of blood cell, takes out your own stem cells, then kills your bone marrow. So it gives you chemotherapy to destroy sort of any remnant stem cells that might be there, modifies those stem cells that it it took out using this CRISPR technology where you can put a typo into a gene, basically, and turn it into a dead gene, or you can replace it with a different gene.
The future.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And so the new gene makes proper hemoglobin, and then they give you back your stem cells, and then it repopulates basically your blood count. So
Wow.
very incredible, very Gattaca-like for sure.
So you're literally editing genes, then how does that work with the drugs?
So the drugs are the ones that cause the editing of the genes because they basically have the technology that allows the gene to swap out. Now, think about obviously the risks of the whole process. You have to kill your entire bone marrow, so it's almost like getting a stem cell transplant. It's your own stem cells back to you that are edited, but you can certainly have side effects from the chemotherapy. There was also black box warning on one of the drugs because a patient developed a blood cancer. Now, when you're editing genes, if the editing goes wrong, you're trying to put in a typo, but you put in the wrong typo, it can evolve into something concerning like cancer. So we have to watch out for all this. We have to watch these patients over time. But in the sickle cell community, this has been a game changer, and people are celebrating today because they now have something they can reach for. And a lot of these people were dying from their disease, dying early, unable to have children. And now by doing this kind of technology, you've really opened up the door for them.
It sounds so exciting, but it is so expensive. That price tag above $2 million
$2 to
for
$3
one
million.
treatment?
Who can afford that?
$2 to $3 million per treatment. So today it's expensive, but again, I'm really hopeful that this has opened the door, not just for this in sickle cell anemia, but even in heart disease. There was a recent data presented at the American Heart Association where they edited your cholesterol-making genes. And so instead of taking a cholesterol pill every day, you could just edit your genes early in life and turn off the cholesterol-making gene for life. So I'm hopeful as this kind of makes its way into mainstream, the price tag comes down and we learn a little bit more about the safety.
Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later. And now I have to go watch Gattaca, so thank you for that. I didn't see the movie in so
It's like
long.
we're all
It's
becoming
so good.
robots.
I know, seriously. Dr. Coley, thank you as always.